Okay, so today we're going to do the properties of parallelograms. So starting with what are the properties, I'm going to tell you, you're going to need to memorize them. There are 5. One of them is the definition, so you have to know the definitions. So first of all, we're going to talk about what are the properties and then how can you prove if it is a parallelogram. So if I tell you it's a parallelogram, then it has 2 pair of parallel sides. So it would look like this. So this side is parallel to this side, and this side is parallel to this side. So you would have AB is parallel to CD, and BC is parallel to AD. Now, the actual properties are opposite sides are congruent. So this side is congruent to this side, and this side is congruent to this side. Opposite angles are congruent. This angle is congruent to this angle, and this angle is congruent to that angle. So consecutive angles are supplementary, so those are the angles that I marked. Consecutive angles are supplementary, meaning the angles that go in order add up to 180. So like these two would equal 180. These two would equal 180. So if you add them together, they're going to add up to 180. These two will be supplementary, and these two will be supplementary. And here are the angles I added together. And the last thing is that your diagonals bisect each other. Remember, your diagonals are the line segments that connect the vertices. So they're not equal to each other, they bisect each other, which means that BD will be cut in half and AC will be cut in half. So this piece is congruent to that piece, and that piece is congruent to that piece. We're going to call their point of intersection just point E, so that we can say AE equals EC, BE equals ED. So 5 properties. 2 pair of parallel lines, opposite sides are congruent, opposite angles are congruent, consecutive angles are supplementary, and the diagonals bisect each other. So here we're going to go through, we're going to find what's missing. So PO is down here, it's opposite MN, so it is 24. It is 24 because opposite sides are congruent. OQ is this piece right here of the diagonal, so it's going to be 14 because this piece is 14. So 14 because the diagonals bisect each other. NO is this side. It's going to be 26 because opposite sides are congruent. Scroll up. PQ. PQ would be this part of the diagonal, so it's going to be 20.7. And it is 20.7 because diagonals bisect each other. Now, keep in mind that you now know all the segments of your parallelogram. So now we're going to find the angles. So PMN, so PMN is this entire angle right here. So PMN, well, I know that these 2 angles will add up to 180. So if this whole angle here is 68, then what is 180 minus 68? So that would be 112. So this whole entire angle here is 112 degrees because consecutive angles are supplementary. NOP, that would be this angle here, which we know is now 112 because opposite angles are congruent. OPM, so OPM, so that's this entire angle here. Well, if this entire angle is 68, then this one is 68 as well because opposite angles are congruent. And NMO, so MO is this little piece right here. Well, I know it's going to be 59 because if you remember, this side is parallel to this side. So this diagonal is acting as a transversal between those two parallel sides. So it's going to be 59 because alternate interior angles. Now please keep in mind that you can also find the other piece over here, because if the whole thing is 112 and that piece is 59, then 53 degrees is what is left over, which would be this angle here as well as this one here, because they're also alternate interior angles. All right, so we're going to find the value of the given variable. So we know that this side is congruent to this side. We know this side is congruent to this side because opposite sides are congruent. So since both of these have an x, then I'm going to set them equal to each other. So 2x is 20, so therefore x is 10. Well, if x is 10, then that makes this side 4 times 10. So this side is 40. Therefore, y is 40. All right, so what do we know? I know that opposite sides are congruent, and I know that opposite angles are congruent. So 4x minus 37 is equal to 49. I also know that 4x minus 3 is equal to y over 5. So I'm going to find x so I can plug it in and find y. So I'm going to add 37, and then I'm going to divide by 4. So now I know that x is 21.5. So now 4 times 21.5 minus 3 is y over 5. So this is 86 minus 3. So 83 is equal to y over 5. Since I have y divided by 5, I'm going to multiply by 5 so that I can get y by itself. So I'm going to multiply this side, and I find out that y is 415. All right. So here I know that the diagonals bisect each other. So I know this piece is congruent to this piece, and this one is congruent to this one. So 2x plus 10 is equal to 4x minus 2. So if I subtract 2x, I get 2x. If I add 2, I get 12. So x is 6. So 5y minus 16 is equal to 3y. So if I subtract 5y from both sides, I get negative 16 equals negative 2y. So y is 8. Both pairs of opposite sides are congruent. So that means this and this have to have the same tick mark, and these have to have the same tick mark. Okay, I'm going to call this number 1. Okay, this one says if one pair is congruent and parallel. So one pair, so I'm going to pick the side pairs to be congruent, but they also have to be parallel. I don't have to put anything else on the other sides because it states one pair is both parallel and congruent. So this is going to be my reason number 2. If both pairs of opposite angles are congruent, so this angle is congruent to this one is congruent to this one, and this is going to be reason number 3. Here you're going to need to draw your diagonals because they're saying that the diagonals bisect each other, so I'm going to just draw them and put my tick marks there. And this is going to be my reason number 4. and if both pair are parallel. So now this has to be parallel to this. This has to be parallel to this. This is reason number 5. So now it says to state which theorem you can use to show that the quadrilateral is a parallelogram based on the tick marks in the picture. So instead of having to rewrite them all out, I numbered them so I can just put the number underneath the picture, okay? So in this picture, I see that it has the arrows, and I also see that it's telling me that it is A units long, and this is A units long, so therefore they're also congruent. So this would be reason number 2, because it's one pair that's both parallel and congruent. In number 12, I see that both of these are 61 and these opposites are 119. So this would be reason number 3, because both pair of opposite angles are congruent. Here I see I have diagonals, and I see that both pieces are equal to each other. So I know this is going to be reason number 4. Okay. So now I need to figure out what are the values of x and y so that this is a parallelogram. So what I do know is that opposite angles are congruent. So I know that 3x minus 20 is equal to 4y. I don't know anything about this angle over here, so it's not going to do me any good. I do know that consecutive angles are supplementary, so that means I need to add these two together. So 3x minus 20 plus x plus 40 equals 180. 4x plus 20 equals 180. 4x equals 160. X is 40. So now I can take x and plug it in up here. 3 times 40 minus 20 is equal to 4y. 120 minus 20 is 100. Divide by 4, I get that y is 25. So if the values of x and y are 40 and 25, then this will be a parallelogram. All right. And the last one here is super easy. For what value of x is the quadrilateral a parallelogram? Well, since I know the diagonals bisect each other, then I know 5x minus 8 is equal to 3x. Negative 8 is equal to negative 2x. So x is 4. Okay? And that's all you have to do to prove it.